Right, I've been asked to have a look at and talk about integers, and I'm going to start by adding and subtracting integers. Now, the way to do this really is to have a number line. So I'm going to just draw myself a number line. Here's my positive and negative. So positive I'm going to have on this side. These are positive. But really that's not positive so much as the positive direction. And this is not so much negative, but the negative direction. So we've got, let's say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I can just number those if I like, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And they just keep on going, of course. And there's -1, -2, -3, -4, and so on. So let's now add or subtract some together. So first of all, if we were just to use positive integers, so for example, I was to have 2 and 3, well, what's 2 plus 3? Here's my 2. And I've got 3 more in the positive direction. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. So 2 and 3 in the positive direction going this way, 1, 2, 3, gets me to 5. So we got 2 plus 3 is 5. Well, let's do it the other way around. Let's say 2 minus 3. So I got 2. This time I'm going to go in the negative direction. So I got 2, 1, 2, 3, and we end up at -1. So all we're doing is we're counting either forwards or backwards, depending upon the nature of the sign in there. So for example, I could have 5 minus 2. There's my 5 minus 2, 1, 2, and that gives us a 3. So I could write 5 minus 2 is 3. What about changing it around a bit? What about 2 minus 5? Well, where do we land if we did 2 minus 5? And I'm just making numbers up here. It doesn't matter what they are. But 2, let's take away 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we end up at -3. So all the positives and negatives are simply counting in that direction for that many numbers. So let's try a different one. What about -2 minus 1? So I start at -2. Here's my -2. And I'm going to go 1 in the negative direction. So I end up at -3. What about -1 minus 5? So I start off at -1 and I move in the negative direction 5 units. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, I don't have anything written for this. Oh, that's off the screen. So this is -5. This will be -6. So I arrive at -6. Here we are again. -1, starting at -1, going 5 in the negative direction. Starting at -1, going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I end up at -6. So this is how we add and subtract integers. What about we do it differently? What about I start at -4 and I add 6? -4 and I add 6. Let's see how that plays out. So I start at -4, here it is, and I'm going to go 6 in the positive direction. -4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I end up at 2. Of course, another way of thinking about this is the way which you would normally have thought about it, which is just swapping those around. Remembering, of course, that negative there, just as every negative does all throughout here, belongs to the number it's against. So really I could just write 6 minus 4, and we go, oh, well, yeah, that makes sense, it's 2. But this is why it's 2. Because we've got 6 in the positive direction and 4 in the negative direction, or 4 in the negative direction and 6 in the positive direction. Makes no difference. Let's have a look. Here's 6 in the positive direction and 4 in the negative direction. Well, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a negative direction going this way, negative. Start on 6, 1, 2, 3, 4. We end up at 2. Or if I start at -4 and go 6 in the positive direction, -4, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I still end up at +2. So this is how we add and subtract integers. It doesn't matter if they're both negative, or one of them's negative, or neither of them are negative. We simply move backwards and forwards in the positive or negative direction depending upon the signs which are in front of those numbers. And that's how we add and subtract integers.